Hello, hello. Oh, there we go. Okay. OBS, I'm still kind of working out the kinks. I don't really fully sometimes get what happens there. My webcam will also often kind of freeze, and I don't know why. So I don't really understand that too much, but we work it out. I know how to undo the freezing of the webcam and when it happens, if it happens. So that's good. I'm going to find the stream so I can share it with some people. Hopefully we can start getting some viewers. Stream's still up. Seems good. Volumes, mic seems good. Okay. Yeah, seems like we're good here. Let me I need to figure out why, but it seems like if I turn the thing off and turn it on again in OBS, it sort of fixes itself. So this will probably work better for now. Turn the microphone on and off in OBS. If for some reason it doesn't like the mic, so I don't know. I don't know what the deal there is. But I think it should be audible right now. Is that? This will probably work better for now. Yeah. So you should be able to hear right now. I don't, I prefer to use my fancy microphone rather than the webcam mic, but we got to do what we got to do. Okay, so we are gathered here today to read ZB2, Chapter 20. And as I said in the title, and you can see in the thumbnail, there's a special guest for this stream. They are not in the room right now, but I will introduce them when the time is right. So be excited for that. I think I'll wait a little bit to introduce them, but maybe not necessarily after the end of the chapter. I won't make you wait that long. But we will get started with the chapter. Because I just want to get going. It's pretty late. Normally I talk about kind of what I've been up to and all that. But I feel like there's no real reason to do that right now. We can just get going with the reading. Because, you know, we had to wait a month for this. It was a chapter that a lot of people were hyped for, and some with good reason, for sure. So we start right where we left off before. Brago destroys Zillion's head with the Gigano race, and you can see the core, which I think was in on the top of his head, cracking, like when all the other monsters are defeated. So his head's gone. Him and Sherry just kind of standing there. And, you know, the other enemies watch silently. The little guy, Jamoda, is laughing a little bit. He says, "You battled well, brother. I sure wish I could fight like that. And then I wouldn't be fighting to lose. I'd be the one who gets to win. And that's why I think we ought to call it quits for today." And I like what we see here, which is that all this goo that Jamoda turned into it to seem like he was sort of killing himself, like a lot of the enemies have been doing when they use magic. This is not like that. He's just sort of reversing the goo and becoming physical again. And the goo turns back into his body parts, and his eyes like back into his socket. And then on the next page, he even spits out all the stuff, the rocks and trees and stuff that the goo absorbed. So I suppose if he had absorbed a person there, they'd be fine, I guess, unless he can choose to destroy them once they're in the goo. I don't know. Gamu, let's go. Meanwhile, Zatch is still being really grabbed and you know, tortured by this guy Gamu, but his arms seem fine when Gamu lets him go in a little bit, so he got off easy there. Momotas are very strong. And we do find out that the ga 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 thing, that is how Gamu speaks, I think is confirmed by this chapter, I would say. So here we have Zatch screaming, and then Gamu, and there's a word bubble pointing at him that says ga 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 ga. So that's how he speaks. There's a little confusion from me at least, among that in the last chapter. It's not like you're going to be able to generate much power anyway with that big hole in your stomach, right? Hits Gash away. I didn't link the stream, did I? Let me do that. I did not link it. That's sometimes how I get peeps here. Okay, one other place. Okay, back to the chapter. So, hits Zatch away. Zatch lands on his feet. Skid, you can see his arms are fine. And Jamoda and Gamu, whew, back to the demon world. I think the demon world, probably. Till next time. Lady does that too. Zatch and Kyo are just standing there. Oh yeah, the shirt. Yeah, of course. Yeah. Hold on a minute. No, we're good. We're good. I thought my cam froze. Yeah, you know, funny thing is I always wear this shirt when I go to see movies on my own. I don't know why. It's just something I got into doing. And whenever I go alone, I wear this shirt. But if I go with other people, I don't wear this shirt. And yeah, this I happen to be wearing the shirt for the stream today. So the Hikeland, Brago, and Sherry shirt, which, yes, Brago and Sherry chapter, so makes sense. So, Brago and Sherry still standing there. Then we cut, no time to waste, to a little bit later. Zatch and Kyo are talking to Sherry. If only Tio were here with us, she could have healed you up right away. The girl with the red hair, right? How's she been? Yeah, she's doing well. There were a lot of severely ill patients who needed her help back in the demon world, so she couldn't join us just yet. I'm afraid he'll have to settle for medical care this time around. Of course. But the situation in the demon world really that dire? Yeah, it's a dire, all right. Many demons have already lost their lives over it. If I were her, I'd be a little more surprised that they went to the demon world, but I guess we're skipping a little of the conversation. The enemy did say that Brongo wound up dead somehow. We really must have our work cut out for us. He won't even look me in the eye. I get the feeling Braga won't be telling me about the circumstances that led to his death. I probably shouldn't pry. I hope we learn about those eventually, though. I'd like to know who beat him. You know, there's some theories. It looks like Sherry in the top panel here has a little box next to her that has both first aid and I guess like a mobile phone. Something like that. Meanwhile, the old man is just sweeping. He's doing what he can. I do think Kiyomaru is the one speaking last in that first panel. A lot of people think it's Gash, but the word choices and particles tell me it is Kiyomaru. Yeah, I don't know. It could be either. It's been quite a while, and I'd love to catch up on old times, but we have to move on to the next person on our list. There are more human... Sorry, I'm distracted here. There are more human partners being targeted. Please stay alert, Sherry. Is it alright if we exchange phone numbers? Oh! Any Sherry Kyo shippers out there? Hello? Certainly. Got it. If you need anything else, feel free to give me a call. Kiyomaru, we're good to go. I've got a jet waiting for us at the airport. Sherry, I can give you a lift to the hospital if you like. Thank you, but I'm okay. The hospital I'm familiar with isn't too far from here, and I won't need transportation. An ambulance is on the way. What do you mean Brago fell for the... I know that joke because my uncle used to do that to me every single time we met. But I don't know how Brago fell for it. I think what Doodles is referring to, if anyone doesn't know, if anyone's in here, is when someone will point at your chest and go, hey, what's that down there? And then you look down and then they'll do that. They'll like just hit your nose with their finger, and it's supposed to be hilarious. So, Sherry asks, so, who are you planning on seeing next? Dr. Riddles. Hi. Oh, bye everybody, see you later. Personally, the Suzy and Kyo shipper. I probably am too, because I'm always big on, I mean, I'm not too much of a shipper, period. Welcome, Dude Man God Person, thanks for tuning in. Yeah, I'm big on just like author intent. So if there's a ship that I actually see in the story, I will tend to just, that'll be the ship, if any. And that's the ship I kind of see in this series. But I don't know, Kyo hasn't mentioned a wife, but then I think it would be quite like Raikou to say, oh, by the way, Kyo was married to Suzy this whole time. Okay. Fair enough, Doodles. I mean, yeah, it kind of makes sense because one of the guys who killed Brago, Doodles, was like a hand, was like a big hand. So maybe he did fall for that, and that's how he died. Terrible. So they leave on Apollo's helicopter. All right, let's get her into the back. By this point, I was like, are we going to address... and then it's like, it's good that we did. Scree, the car pulls up. Sherry, I was shocked when I saw your email. You sent an email? You couldn't text? Don't they have smartphones? What do you mean you were injured? Papa, you're not hurt too badly, are you? You're going to be fine, right? What about the kids? Are they okay? She's so caring. And the kids stand in his way. They're not happy. What are their names? Nicola and Jonathan or something? And the girls in the back. And just where have you been, Papa? What? It's Saturday, so the business was closed all day. What have you been up to while Mama was risking her life to protect all of us? You were busy cheating on Mama with another woman, weren't you? Oh, how the hell did he find out? Nicola, where do you get the nerve to talk to your father that way? Okay, it's just Jean. Got it. Brago, he loves smashing things. He smashed a big bulldozer. Then he smashed a big helicopter. It wasn't a bulldozer, it was a excavator. Now he smashes a car. He didn't smash a helicopter. Maybe he will one day. He smashed that very nice car that their dad has. He's freaked out. And he grabs the dad by the neck. I love soap opera drama in my Zatch Bell. Yeah, if you are the kind of person who likes that stuff, this is some good stuff. Braga holding it by the neck. Sherry doesn't seem to mind throughout this scene. Where the hell were you? And what were you doing there? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Forgive me, Sherry. Kid's happy. Hey, no mind. Please just get her on board. Right. Sherry smiles. There's not much I can do to help you from here. Who's, I'm not, what is that referring to? I guess she's thinking that about her husband. What's going to happen to him? This is such a bizarre end to this scene, don't you think? Like, I still don't really get what Raikou is trying to say with all this, which is like, why did Sherry end up in this situation in the first place? What is she learning by going through this? I'm not really sure. But the guy did get his in any case. And the kids are happy. Sherry's happy that this massive man is threatening their dad and husband. Yeah, Sherry basically said that. Yeah, it's a weird. I said this when Sherry first got into this situation, and I do think this is kind of what I have to go with, which is that Sherry being in that situation is just this Raikou thing of real life is tough, and sometimes you do things that you don't like from the start. Sometimes things you like from the start go bad, and sometimes you get put in situations that you don't like. The whole TM Lee chapter was just like this big, like, remember that real life, kids, it's not always sunshine and rainbows. And I kind of think that was maybe partly what he was doing by putting Sherry in that situation. It didn't make fans of that character very happy. It didn't end up meaning anything grand, I suppose. It was just like she found the strength through Brago to leave that life that she had gotten herself into, How did Brago get so big in the sequel, LOL? Do you think it was natural, or are there Emoto World steroids, right? Who hasn't told us about? I think it was natural. I think that, that Brago just grew. He had a growth spurt. Brago wanted to make sure we never get crushed into a stick figure ever again, I believe, referring to Clear Note. He was going to come up in a little bit. So, on Apollo's plane, which I think says Apollo Industries on it, it's got his little sun symbol. We got to Sherry in the nick of time. Yeah, it was a really close call. It'll take us more than 12 hours to reach Dr. Riddle's all the way in Nevada. We should take this opportunity to rest while we can. First, I'll send an email to Dr. Riddle's in advance. I've gotten in touch with him every so often. I also gave him a call right after Gas showed up. I never expected him to be in the enemy's crosshairs so soon. Belia-sama, we've located Vino. Meanwhile, in the villain's evil lair, the Clear has already been killed, correct? As I recall, he was the demon whose power was second only to that of Bao. It is true that the being whose power you've sought after the most is no longer among us. Therefore, if Vino were to be found, there would be no point in eradicating him. But the man who resides with Vino was also once in possession of a demon spellbook. Back then, he referred to himself as Dr. Riddles. He would then go on to resume working under his real name, Howard Friedman. He has become a well-known public figure since then. So, a couple things. Clear is kind of confirmed to be considered dead by the enemy, which makes sense. They probably would not know about the existence of White. Dr. Riddles is in their crosshairs pretty much just due to his association with Vino. We don't know if there's another reason they want to go after Dr. Riddles. Maybe because he was shown to be so intelligent. Um, but he was not a top 10 partner. Vino was. So that might just be why they want to go after him, because they have a feeling that they will be threats in the future, or that if Kyo and Zatch and Co have been reviving dead Mamoto, which they now kind of obviously know that they can do, that they might think, well, Dr. Riddles must have been one of their greatest allies. They're going to try to revive his Mamoto. We should go after him. Another big reveal we've learned, Dr. Riddle's real name is Howard Friedman. Howie, you can call him. This is pretty crazy. A lot of people did not expect to hear this. We went the whole first series without knowing his real name, though he didn't really show up too much after the Millennium Mamoto arc. He did help out during the Clear Note arc. And yeah, his name is Howard Friedman, a pretty normal name for an American guy. So, surprising. It is at your discretion, Marriott-sama, as to whether we should be wary of the demon named Kiddo, considering how taxing it has been to search for these humans so far. Perhaps we should seize the opportunity and kill both Howard and Vino at the same time. So yeah, they're pretty much explaining the rationale of just like, yeah, let's just do it because we can. We know where these people are, Vino Friedman, yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I love, that we're going to get to see Vino again, and Vino might be a big character, because I was always really interested in what happened to that baby. Very well. Dispatch the cards. Yes, sir. Well, we cannot employ the same tactics as before. I have a new plan in the works. Okay. So I think it's time to introduce the special guest before we do another scene change. I'm going to have them on, they're going to say a few words, and then maybe they'll be with me for the rest of the chapter as we go through it, and then discuss afterwards. So give me a few seconds, and then the special guest is going to be here. Mirror, mirror, me! Mirror, mirror, me! Mirror, me! Mirror, mirror, me! Mirror, me! Okay, I'll switch to English now. Hi, this is Ponygon from the Zatch Bell franchise. I'm sure you have all been excited to see me show up in Zatch Bell 2, but it looks like you're gonna have to wait just a little longer. But hey, I'm showing you now a little preview of how I might sound in the new series. Please look forward to seeing my happy, smiling, horse monster-like face in Zatch Bell 2, coming soon. Mirror, mirror, me! Okay, so, yes, you may have guessed that the special guest is not is not a real person. It is, in fact, this Ponygon hand puppet that I got from eBay after it was linked in the server a while back. I have the thumbnail here, which you can see. Looks like my arm is around somebody, right? I took it that way intentionally. My arm is not around anybody. Hold on, let me get this here. Yeah. That's the thumbnail, unedited. So, yeah, that I have this Ponygon hand puppet. I was really hoping that Ponygon would show up. I was really hoping it would show up in this chapter so I could actually use this. But now I definitely plan to use it when Ponygon does show up in the chapter. So I don't know how I can't really like put this in a way Where? You know what? I'll put it on my left hand because I'm not really using that hand too much. So you know, I was very happy to get this. It was linked on the Discord, and I like puppets in general. I've never really had one. I've just always thought they were cool, and I know there was at least one other person on the server who wanted it, but you know, you got to go after something on eBay if you want it. So I just said, okay, I'll get it. And yeah, I'm really happy to have it. It's in great condition, pretty much spotless. Yeah, you can. The arms, you can't put your fingers in those, which I mean, it would kind of have to be built differently for that to happen. But it's in really freaking good condition. It's got a tail too. And even if Ponygon ends up looking different in ZB2, I'm still going to use this because it would be a huge missed opportunity not to. So you can expect to see this in future streams whenever Ponygon shows up. For now, thanks for waiting for that very special guest, and I think we can continue with this chapter. Maybe I should have Ponygon play a role here. You know what? I'll have him play the big guy, because that guy's already silly, so it won't impact things all that much. Okay, so anyway, continues on the plane. The 10 survivors. Yeah, according to Tio, the enemy mentioned it at one point. It's 17 hours after leaving France. The final 10 left standing in the battle to decide the king of the demon world. It's only natural that they'd be the enemy's prime targets. So far, they've attacked Fulgori and the Gumi-san. We got our second Zatch eating picture in this series. 2 famous celebrities in a row. Sherry is also pretty well known around her neighborhood. So I guess that means their search is only turning up people in the public eye. This is a pretty interesting logic to sort of bring up. Once again, the things that Raikou explains and the things that he doesn't explain are pretty funny. It's like, oh, you'll explain how those villains are finding the partners, but you're not going to explain, like, you know, what happened in the rest of the demon world yet with the Thunder Dragon Egg. And I mean, I know, I'm sure that all that will be explained eventually, but then, like, you're not going to show us more of, like, Sherry and Brago talking to each other after, you know, they first meet, but you know, he really wants to show readers the big stuff, so I think that's why he skipped some of that stuff. Dude Man God Person, thank you for tuning in. I'm glad you got to see the special guest. Shouldn't they be gotten close to Nevada by now? Yeah, probably, I would think. So they find people in the public eye, which means top 10 candidates like Asheron's partner or probably Mirror might not be so easy to find. Dr. Riddles used to keep his entire life a mystery from us, but now he's the head of the largest medical corporation in Nevada and goes by his real name. And wherever Dr. Riddles goes, Vino's never far behind. So Vino's really probably his adopted son / protege. Unfortunately, this probably does confirm that Vino's real parents are not with us anymore. They may have been killed by Clear. We don't really know. And wherever Dr. Riddles goes, Vino's never far behind. Dr. Riddles is 80 years old now, so if Vino is on the enemy's radar, it'd be disastrous if they both got ambushed. An old man and a young fellow both know Momoto. Dr. Riddle sent me a reply. Is he okay? He wants us to watch a video. I'll display it on the monitor, okay, Apollo? Ta-da! It's Big Boing! Yes, of course. If Dr. Riddles is there, not only is Vino not far behind, but Big Boing is not far behind either. Big Boing looking very much the same as she did in the original series, against, I assume, some sort of green screen. Dr. Raikou was willing to reveal this about Riddles, then I really hope he'll eventually drop some more info on Dufort. Fingers crossed. Yeah, Dufort's going to be really interesting to see where he's ended up since the original series. My theory from way back when, or not so much of a theory, as more of something that I thought would be neat, was that he would be like a Buddhist monk, just kind of chilling in, you know, Tibet or Nepal or somewhere. So Zatch she hasn't changed a bit. What? Gestures? She has a sign that says, let's talk using gestures. We don't really know why this is. We don't know if there's a reason for this at all. It might just be Big Boy being herself and being weird, or if there's some actual reason why she doesn't want to actually say this. We're not sure. Okay, I'll translate for us. Just what I'd expect from you, Kimaru. Go for it. Stay calm. I am doing fine. I've never felt better. She's doing some crazy movements here. I don't know how she's bouncing on her belly on the floor. She's very spry. Yay! The classic boing chop move. I imagine, you know, not to be lewd, but Raikou is the one drawing these images, and you know, it's up to the reader to interpret them and imagine how characters might sound when speaking or how sound effects might sound. I tend to imagine like almost a basketball, or like a bouncing basketball, or like a speedball when the boxers, you know, train with that. That's where my mind tends to go. Hold on. Wait just a minute here. Wah! She's freaking out. He's zipping all around the screen. They're in big trouble! This is a pretty hilarious moment, I will say. This is pretty great. Come on, faster! Captain, hurry up! And there goes the plane. She could be trying to be stealthy. Yeah, I don't think Big Boing speaks often, Jackpot Gamer says. That is kind of true. But I also think it was because Dr. Riddles wanted to make Kimaru translate breast charades. Yeah, that could be very possible as well. Okay, here's Pony Gonzalez coming in. Excuse me, sir, but you'll have to pass a security check. Step right through the gate, please. Hmm? Claire. Rings out all across the hospital. I agree with... Oh yeah, I agree with Ray's Howard thought it was funny. Freeze! Hands where we can see him. What do you want, huh? This is a hospital, you know? Drop your weapon. What gives? No gotta go crazy on me. They're just open fire. That's Americans for you, ladies and gentlemen. Open fire. He didn't really do anything except knock the security gate down. Bullets hit him. He seems impervious to bullets, but they do create some sort of energy. It kind of looks electrical in him, so we're not entirely sure what this guy's abilities are. But he seems to then make the electricity noises. So we see the sound effect on the page, but he's also going, no like that! And then he whams everybody with his club, and down they go. Ray's was calling this guy Wario on the Discord. Which I kind of get. He's a weird looking dude. Vino! Howard! Come out here now! Emergency! Emergency! All patients and hospital staff should immediately be moved into any ward with security shutters. Patients, we ask for your full cooperation at this time. Careful with that IV. I have a bed coming through. They're tasers. Oh, is that true? How do I see that? You know, you're right. I didn't look close enough. You're right. They are tasers, I believe. It looks like there's something coming out, but maybe that's like some kind of casing for the taser cartridge. I don't really know how tasers work. Yeah, I think you're right. They are tasers. So he is literally just getting electrocuted by the tasers, and then he gets pissed off. Okay, well, that's fair. At least they're not opening fire on him. You gonna sing for us soon? Probably. I don't know. I don't really know how this song goes, but I'll try my best. Also, welcome. Snap is the best. I don't recall the name, but sometimes people come in here under different names. So, next page, we see a butterfly going around. Ooh, look, a butterfly. Huh? But we're indoors. Where could it have? And over there, an orange one. This young lady walks through the halls. I think of this as being somewhat like a lullaby, a butterfly lullaby. Like, look, look, people, an orange butterfly. You know, a little bit like that, like a Edelweiss, or like, you know, like some kind of like a, you know, lullaby type song. Look at them panicking, green butterfly. Why, thank you, red butterfly. Leaned on reaper, black butterfly. Something a bit like that. Black butterfly. I don't know if it's called the Lindon Reaper, but you know, that would be pretty scary if it was. Lands on a finger. It's the finger of someone we know. Hello, Dr. Riddles. We see the second of our new pair of villains. She's a young lady, looks similar to Levy, very humanoid, but with her arm attached to her through a shoulder joint that serves as the core of the core that some of the cards have. My, what an adorable little visitor. Pleasure to meet you. My name is Howard Friedman, but you may know me better as Dr. Riddles, the one who knows everything. So we see Dr. Riddles, bedridden, but he seems to be in pretty good spirits. Not wearing his hat anymore, but he's still wearing his Riddle shirt. And this butterfly is perched on his finger, and he doesn't seem too scared. He seems ready to meet whatever challenge is in front of him. And that is where we end Chapter 20, which, it has been mentioned, did come out, was the first chapter to come out. Well, actually, because did the series start? The series was announced in February, but it started in March. So this would come out sort of in the 2-year anniversary month of Zatch Bell, but there are not yet 2 years worth of chapters. That'll be when there are 24 chapters, given all the breaks. Yes, so that is something I want to say, that it's pretty funny that she literally says, hey, Dr. Riddles, and then he does this whole introduction, which is maybe for him or for us as the readers. I think he might be saying that more for, because people want to hear him introduce himself as Dr. Riddles, the one who knows everything. But yeah, he does confirm that his name is Howard Friedman as well, as if that was not clear enough. So that is the end of this month's chapter. And it's a very interesting chapter, an inter-fight chapter where we don't get too much lore, but we still get some good stuff. We needed to devote some time to wrapping up Sherry and Braga's arc. Honestly, I would have liked to devote more time to it. I wonder if they wanted to do that and then maybe decided against it because it had been a month break and because readers had maybe been waiting to continue on and see who we're going to get introduced to next. And, you know, speaking of who's getting introduced, we now can't really say who we're going to see next. Many would have expected this guy. But now we're seeing not only Dr. Riddles, but also probably Vino, you know. So it's really up in the air as to what order we're going to get people. We might not see Ponygon after this, you know? I mean, Zatch and Kyo were coming right from France to Nevada. So it seems like they're not going to arrive on Ponygon, you know what I mean? Like, he's not going to come in between arcs and Zatch is going to come riding in on him, which is something that I think you could have reasonably speculated might happen. So we can't say who's going to be next. It could be anybody, you know? So we have some thoughts in the chat. Howard's way of addressing her makes me feel like he was talking to someone else beside her. Maybe I'm reading too much into it. Yeah, I don't know if I think that. You know, I think he's in his library sanctum chamber alone. I think he's just being, you know, theatrical for the reader. Zatchable Gamer says he definitely sent Vino somewhere in preparation for the enemy's arrival, since he's been in contact with Kiyomaru the whole time and knew they'd be coming. Yeah, Vino, I guess that's a question of if he really wants to protect Vino, then maybe Vino will not be involved in this particular arc. But I think Vino would want to protect Dr. Riddles as well. So most likely Vino, I think, will be involved. I've heard theories that the black butterfly might be the girl's true body, and the girl we're seeing is a shell. It could be something like that. I think that it's something I wanted to talk about, which is that Belial said we're going to use a different plan for this one, and I think what that means is that this enemy's form of attacking is going to be somewhat different than raw physical force. I think the butterflies might be poisonous. They might attempt to poison Dr. Riddles. And I think even the big man, who for now just seems to be yet another brute, may also have some sort of special ability that we're not aware of. So, like I just said, Deathpool Gamer says, I'm worried that the Black Butterfly is going to poison Dr. Riddles because it seems like Belial's new plan is to cause an affliction that a hero's late arrival can't cure. Yes, I think that's very possible, and I would really like it if that happened, because as you know, one of my main issues with this series is the sort of formula that we have of these fights where these people, kind of without Momoto are fighting, or they can be Momoto too, just without spells. And they're losing, but they try not to give up hope, and then just when they're about to be defeated, the heroes come in and beat the enemy and help the other people power up and defeat them. And I really hope that this bucks that trend. So even if we get, a more, unique sort of fight, with poison as an element, it could be really interesting. The monthly schedule, Doodle says, leads to semi-odd pacing at times. Not sure what could be done about that besides having chapters come out quicker, which would have its own issues. Yeah, I mean, I guess what could be done about that would be to just pace the chapters in the way that he would, just in showing whatever he wants to show and keeping the readers waiting, which, would definitely piss off some people, but I think might lead to a better series in the long term. So I wouldn't say I would mind if he did that. I think a lot of readers want to see more scenes with the characters just chatting with each other. And, I agree with that, but also I think that's something Raikou has, never really done. His scenes have always been extremely story-focused. Sometimes he does filler, but, in Zatch Bell 2, it seems like he doesn't even want to do that. He just wants to go full steam on the story. And, he doesn't really want to show characters getting to know each other or catching up if they haven't seen each other in a long time. That's just not really his MO, and I think we just sort of have to kind of be okay with that. So let's see, what else is there to talk about in this chapter? We talked about Sherry's whole thing, how it ended satisfyingly, but I question what it was actually all for. Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, these interfight chapters tend to have big lore drops. This one didn't so much, but it's certainly very good for fans of both Dr. Riddles and Kiddo, and Clear and Vino, which I'm definitely a Clear and Vino fan. And I think Vino is a really interesting character. I think I always wondered, like I said earlier, what was going to happen to Vino after the original series. How did their interaction with Clear change them? It seemed like they learned to speak much earlier than a baby should have, based on their proximity to Clear. Would Clear's presence have somehow changed them in other ways and made them unique among humans, which Dr. Riddles kind of is also. And how does Vino view their own life so far, and what happened with Clear and what happened with their parents, and I'm very interested to see all that, and I think there's a lot of potential for something interesting to happen with all that. I think it's very clear at this point that Vino, I think it would make sense for him to be a pretty major character. I think that Vino could either become White's partner or the partner of, Zelly or Olmo or one of those kids, or Mippy, let's not forget about him. And, Vino could be sort of the Kyo age protagonist of this whole story, possibly, potentially. How Zelly is like the Zatch age protagonist, right? The same age that Zatch was in the first series. Actually, a little younger, I think. So, Vino could be the Kyo age protagonist now. which makes sense because 13 years have passed since the first series, right? So Vino would be almost exactly Kyo's age, most likely. I'm sure Raikou wouldn't want the series to miss its chance to conclude properly, so he's probably well aware of the pacing and might speed up plot points after a month's break or something. Yeah, I think that's, for this chapter in particular, that's definitely very likely. But I also think, like many manga authors, he's very concerned just about whether readers like it. Um, and so he's going to do what he can just to keep the reader satisfied and show them, quickly things that they're going to like. It's a series and he can do what he wants. The pacing isn't something I'm super pleased with, but yeah, I mean, it's something we really have to get used to and something that we've discussed before. We've discussed Raikou's propensity to focus on just the raw plot and not really be much of like a character-based author too much. There's some great character moments in Zatch Bell, but it's still all relatively simple and very ingrained with the plot. And, that's fine. Like, Zatch Bell started in 2001. It was like a different era for shonen. Vino kills me because I usually like to fix transliterated names from the old series. But Vino's transliteration is so iconic, I don't dare change it. It seems like his name is actually meant to be Vino. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, but that's interesting, Zestro Gamer. I mean, why do you think that? Because obviously Vino is just wine in Italian, right? But oh well, he's always going to be Vino to us, lol. I mean, you can change it if you like. I'll read it as Vino. Well, Vino or Vino with a silent T is another French name. Yes, Raikou loves those French names, yeah. Yeah, I mean, do we know where Vino's from? But I mean, what is Vino spelled that way with the G? So we will be getting a chapter next month, as far as we know. There's no reason to think we won't, which I'm going to be very glad about because we just learned today that we are going to be, after next week, going to be going 3 weeks without any One Piece, which is Oda's, I believe, his third break of more than 2 weeks in like the past couple years. It used to be an extremely rare thing for him. But it may be because of more One Piece live action production, which I'd be totally fine with. But yeah, I'm going to be happy to have Zatch Bell 2 during that break for sure. Okay, so there's slightly different characters placed in a different way. That's interesting. I mean, who knows? What else is there to say? Friends of Eternal Bonds, the mobile game. I don't know who else has been keeping up with it. I haven't too much. I only log in once or twice a week, as I said on the server. I think it's just really hard for me to get into a game that is not in my language. It's just difficult for me to really get engaged. I also can't spend money on it, which is kind of a good thing because I already spend some money on Fate Grand Order, and I wouldn't, want to spend too much more on Friends of Eternal Bonds. But, it also prevents me from getting more of the good characters. And there is just a lot to do in that game. Something I really like about Fate Grand Order is that there's relatively little for you as a player to do. There's no... Okay, there are daily missions. The daily mission is literally play 3 missions. That's the daily mission. There is one. It is play 3 missions of the game. There are weekly missions that are super easy. You can clear them all in like a single day or two if you're like grinding in an event. And that's it in terms of like what that game actually expects you to like regularly do. Other than, of course, just the daily login bonus, which, is the minimum for any gacha game, any free-to-play game. Friends of Eternal Bonds has a lot more than that. It's got daily missions, it's got weekly missions, it's got... The daily missions is like kind of a lot. You have to go to like all these different areas of the game and like do all these different things. You got to do 3 of the special missions to get coins or experience. You got to do the hero show. It's like, oh my god, come on. And then there's whatever event the game is doing right at that point. So It's a lot, admittedly, and that's also probably one of the reasons why. I mean, look, Zatchville Gamer, like, you don't have to not be proud of it. Just, as long as you're doing it wisely. I mean, I do the same with FGO. Like, I mean, the amount of money I've spent on FGO is more than, at this point, more than double the price of any major video game release. But, like, I mean, that's over 2-3 years, So, I think that's in moderation, I would say. So it's you just got to be wise about it. I think there are people who unfortunately are not wise about it and fall prey to some impulses, and they maybe should just quit. But if you are doing it in moderation, then I think it's fine. Yeah, the Alter Ego dungeon. I haven't even tried that yet. Right, the monthly pass. So like that's good. I keep meaning to watch your videos on the game. I haven't watched your video of the Valentine's event yet because it's just like it's a weird kind of video for me to watch where you have to sit there and like really look at the screen and like read. So I don't know. There's something where it's like hard for me to like jump in and watching a video like that. But I am gonna do it. And check out Zashville Gamer's channel if anyone's interested in seeing the story of this new mobile game, along with a little Valentine story starring Kalulu, Wanrei, and Lien that they did in the mobile game recently. I had to get the season pass thing with the Bowery event, unfortunately, because the deal was too good. Typical gotcha thing, but I never buy. I don't see what is it? Flat crystals. Okay, yeah. I mean, if they have that kind of like season pass, weekly deal, monthly deal, whatever available, then that's probably would make the need for just buying actual crystals obsolete. Another good thing about FGO is there's literally, it's only crystals. That's the only thing you can pay for. The deal seems reasonable. I don't freaking know. It's like the only mobile game I play other than this one. Other than the Zatch Bell one. But there's no other thing to like tempt you. There's no like all kinds of currencies and deals to get. And you can get plenty of crystals. They're called Saint Quartz in FGO. You can get plenty of them just by playing the game. Thank you very much. I do need to keep up with the Tawakizu videos. Got a busy month ahead of me with a personal project, but after that, hopefully I can really get cracking on that. I mean, to be honest, like given your general speed of output, which I understand is because you're always working on stuff, but I would say that your output of having like 3 or 4 major Tawakizu videos since the game officially released is like really good. I would say that's like more than enough for a lot of people, for now. So yeah, I'm sure that the fan base thanks you for that. So I don't know how much there is really left to say. I don't think there's anything else going on in Zatch Bell land right now. You never know if there will be soon. I got I remember I got a feeling around when this mobile game was announced. I got a feeling that something was going to happen. And I had that feeling for a couple months. And I was like, something's going to happen with Zatch Bell. And I was right. And I ended up being right because that mobile game was announced. I'm not saying I'm going to get a feeling again whenever something else is close to happening. But I think we shouldn't get too sure that nothing is going to happen soon. You know what I mean? There's lots to say with a pointing on puppet by her side. Yeah. I don't know. You gotta keep an eye on this one. I mean, we know Bergen Board's Twitter is now more active. They're trying to do like daily tweets or something like that with various things. They take Ponygon on a little walk every week and they take some pictures. So I mean, look, if they can get that, the marketing whatever department started up, then maybe we can get something going with a new anime or with foreign releases of the manga. I still think it's a strong possibility that it will happen eventually. It's just taking its time because Bergden is, a pretty small company. Ever since Tawakizu's release, Toei Animation has been uploading an episode of Gash Bell every day. Really? Where are they doing that? On YouTube? It's interesting. Maybe they're cooking something when Raikou is taking these monthly breaks. LOL. Yeah, I mean, it's possible. We don't know if, Raikou is clearly suffering from exhaustion, as a lot of manga authors do. He always tweets about it when he has it. So that might just be the reason for the breaks. And, I think during the monthly breaks, they probably are still working. They just work at a slower pace. That's what I tend to think, is that when the breaks happen, they just expand the schedule for taking 2 months to work on a single chapter, and they just do it slower. That's what I tend to think, but we don't really know. What I want to know is what will happen once they finish the series and get all 150 episodes uploaded to YouTube. What then? Only time will tell. That's true, but I mean, this is kind of nice. It's like resting. I could put some, I could get some closed eyes version and put them on there. But, we don't know what Raikou's relationship with Toei is like right now. Because, he collaborated with them on Golden Memories, but then with this new game, Tawakizu, he's been completely, almost incredibly silent. I am not sure I've talked about this before, I think, that I'm not sure he's mentioned that game a single time on Twitter, which is frankly kind of incredible that you have, a big mobile game running for your series right now, and you just don't even mention it. So to me, I think that would mean that even if it's, nothing personal between him and Toei, that he might want to focus on something that his company can really be a big part of. We don't know what happened behind the scenes with Tawakizu. We don't know if Toei offered for him to be a part of it and he declined. We don't know if he wanted to be a part of it and they declined. We don't know. We really don't know. But I do think it's just a very good sign that we had any foreign releases of the Zatch Bell Complete Editions. I think that getting more of those is going to be great, and maybe we will eventually see Zatch Bell 2 come out in some country, even if that's not in English, and that will be the best sign of all. I think we'll see things continue to progress. I'm going to search his tweets real quick for any mention of it by name, but yeah, he's been seemingly radio silent. Yeah, as far as I've seen, he's been completely silent. I get notifications for his tweets, so I see most of them, though I don't translate all of them. So, I think with that said, we are going to leave it here for tonight. I'm not sure how long we've been going, but we had a pretty fun chapter read through, and y'all got to meet Ponygon. As you can see, when I do Ponygon, I tend to default to dub. I know in the sub, it sounds more like a person to me, which I think is why I like the dub more. In the sub, it's like Mermaid. It's also very high. It's very high. It's got to be a woman doing it, right? I never really knew who Ponygon's voice was. So mine is going to be, I think, more similar to the dub, especially when I really tire my voice out. Doing these, it's going to be much easier to if I do the Meru, which I don't know how often I'm going to do it. It'll be more like the dub. But when he shows up in Zatch Bell 2, he might be speaking as I did in the little skit there, as I told you, as Ponygon told you. So there you go. Even the original VA can't seem to match that octave anymore. Yeah, I haven't really noticed that, but it doesn't surprise me too much. I'm surprised Ikoue Otani, can still do all those voices that she does. It's crazy for her to have. She has 2 iconic characters, 3 to us, but 2 in reality, that have not only just existed but consistently existed, since their creation. Pikachu and Chopper, there's always been new stuff for them. So she's really been doing those characters, in a straight line for all those years, which we can't say about Zatch, though it's always nice to have her back as Zatch when she does return. So there we have it. Thanks for watching. Ponygon thanks you for watching. And we're going to see you next month with a new chapter of Zatch Bell 2 that I think is going to be really exciting. And fingers crossed will not follow that same formula that we've been seeing. I think it might be something a little different. So there we have it. Y'all have a good night. Mirror, mirror, mirror.